The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience Week 9 rankings, debate, and trade recap. Fantasy spin on all the trades that took place at the NFL trade deadline. And we're going to do it position by position, so hit the index, like if you want to hear about Cortland Sutton or Demaryius Thomas, that is under the wide receiver section. It will not be under the tight end section. Shocking, I know, but these are the rules that I've been given, and these are the rules that I've been telling you. Also, something you can do. Give the episode a like, leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section, and let me know, between Demaryius Thomas and Kiki Cutie, which one will have more PPR value going forward the rest of the season? Week 9 to Week 16. No one cares about Week 17. 9 to 16. Who will score more points in PPR scoring between those two? And boom, you're in a draw for $20 DK. I'll announce the winner live on Monday's show, 10 a.m. Eastern Time on the DraftKings YouTube channel. Plus, Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, I'm live with Garion Thorne. He's there.
Hello.
Jake's not there so much. He's there in spirit.
Sure.
Maybe. I don't know. Cust is here, though, on the Sunday show.
Kind of the inverse of Jake, when you really think about it.
You would say on the spectrum, Tim is on one side, Jake is on the other?
Tim is definitely on a spectrum, yes.
Not be the first to say that.
No.
Other big thing, too. I tweeted this out today. Got a nice response from it. And Jake, maybe you can help me out with this. Gary, and you can help me out. We're at 8.21 million downloads for the year. I want to get to 10 million for the year. We need a push because we're not on pace to get there. We're at pace finish like 9.5, 9.7, something like that. We got some time left, so spread the word around. And even if you're just watching on YouTube, after giving the episode a like, and you have the ability to own an iPhone or an Android, subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience podcast. Just download it. You don't need to listen to it on your phone. Those downloads all count, whether you listen or not. So help out the show. You can even leave a review. It takes like 10 seconds, 5 stars preferably. This would be a great help in getting us to the goal of 10 million downloads and listens. That doesn't count the video views. That's just audio.
Right.
Turns out a lot more people listen to this show than actually watch it. For the amount of
that makes a lot of sense.
I kind of felt like the Cowboys today when I saw that. You know, like the Cowboys give a first round for Amari Cooper, then you see that, hey, a third rounder could have got us Golden Tate. I was like, hey, look, I might get to 100,000 downloads this month for my podcast. And then I saw your tweet. I was like, oh, that's cool.
In fairness, you just started yours. And I do 8 a week instead of 2.
Yeah.
Well, I sometimes do 3.
Listen, I am the Jarvis Landry of podcasts.
Volume.
Just all volume. That's my only.
I do hope you make it, though. To be clear, I don't want to make that. I do hope you make it.
No, Jake's hexing me now.
We should have some sort of like UHF style telethon on the last day of the season to try to get you to 10 million listens.
Put it this way, I think we would need like 30 million downloads and listens to hire Weird Al to come into the studio to help us with our telethon.
It might not take that much.
Weezer
got him.
Weird Al. Yeah, of course. Weird Al is a legend.
I love Weird Al.
Legend.
I was happy everyone knew what UHF was.
And, you mean me?
Well, Jake seemed to know too.
Kramer's.
I never saw the movie, but I know what you're talking about.
Well, see, the whole thing is if people watch King of the Hill and believed Hank Hill, they would think that Weird Al Yankovic blew his brains out in the late 80s. Not true. Turns out Hank Hill, fake news. Just like we were talking about before, reports on Josh Gordon, always fake news.
Apparently.
Never believe a thing you hear about Josh Gordon.
No.
He's starting every game.
Although,
speaking of fake news, hey, what did I tell you about Matt Breida last week? If he's questionable all the way up to the game, fire him up because he's playing the entire game.
There we go.
So now that like he's like questionable and questionable name only, like he's healthy. We just saw him play last week. Does that mean he does nothing this week?
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. That's my theory.
All right. Well, I mean,
you got Alf week.
Oh, big Alf week?
Yeah.
We got some UHF. We got some Alf. We got some Weird Al. This is the late 80s week
got
on the Pat Mayo Experience.
That's true.
See, that's the thing. We need the people who are like the people who get these references from the late 80s. Probably bad with technology. So if someone in your life would like to listen to the Pat Mayo Experience but can't figure out how to use a phone and how to download, teach them how to download. Boom. There's our 10 million listens.
There we go.
Nailed it. Let's get into the ranks. Running backs to start. The guys that I have probably in. Actually, no, let's start with the trades. Big trades in the running back front this week. Ty Montgomery escapes death threats in Green Bay. Goes to Baltimore where, I mean, you probably don't need death threats. You're just getting threatened all the time. At least that's what TV has taught me. Don't go to Baltimore.
It's
The stadium, the area around, they didn't put the either stadium in the best place. It's very, you could be fine for a little while and then you get a little bit out of the right. If you're not going in the right direction, you can end up in a very bad area.
I just assumed they built the stadium on the docks and put Sabatka out of business. Although he was put out of business by the Greek.
That's surprisingly close to where like Johns Hopkins is. You feel like that would be in a good area. It's not really. Camden's got like a nice block around it, but then you go outside that block.
But that's about it.
Dicey, yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, Johns Hopkins is almost neck and neck with Camden.
Yeah, it's true.
I want to go to Baltimore now. Sounds fun.
Great liquor
It's
stores.
a beautiful stadium. Camden Yards is one of the best stadiums I've ever been to.
People always say that. Have you been to Wrigley?
Yes.
Is it better than Wrigley?
Wrigley gets it for nostalgia. It's actually not that amazing a stadium, but you're just part of baseball history kind of thing. PNC is my favorite park, but I've never been to AT&T.
PNC was great. Actually, Fenway was my favorite.
I like the ballpark in Arlington. I don't know why. I went there when I was like 13. I was like, this is great. After going to like stupid Skydome, which is like the single worst stadium on earth.
Well, I mean, we had a coworker. Well, that's the thing. We had a
Oh,
coworker.
I've actually been to Tampa. Yes, that's
Dave
quite bad.
Pittman. He'd only ever been to 2 major league stadiums, and it was Skydome and Tropicana. Like, oh, you
Jesus.
poor soul. You poor soul.
And the shitty thing is, like, all these places in Florida, like all the spring training facilities are awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, they're like legit stadiums.
Actually, City's really nice too. I enjoyed City.
Shitty field?
Shitty field, yes.
Shitty field. All right, actual running back. I'm going to reset the time code on this one because people get real triggered that they clicked running back. Talking about baseball!
Well, especially baseball.
Yeah.
People don't like baseball.
Yeah, people get triggered by baseball. I didn't see it. I mentioned this. I'm going to reset the time code again because I want to talk about this. I didn't watch a second of the World Series for the first time in my life.
Really?
Wow.
Just no interest whatsoever. I got to follow along with Kaufman as he tweeted out every single pitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
I asked.
Kaufman got in some real dicey situations the next morning on Twitter because he tweeted out something like, "No one expected us to beat the Yankees. We beat them. No one expected us to beat the Astros. We beat them too. People doubted us against the Dodgers. This team, underdogs through and through." It's like, yes, you're $190 million team. Truly underdogs.
The team that was the betting favorite in every single one of those series?
Well, this is my theory with Boston, and it's just they have major Napoleon complex, obviously, from losing for decade after decade after decade, but also when you're a tiny fishing town that doesn't even have enough room in your downtown core to fit an entire baseball stadium, why did you pick the biggest city in the world to be your adversary? Of course you're going to have little brother syndrome where we're always the underdog. No, you're not. You've won everything for 17 years. Shut up.
Triggered.
That's my take on Boston.
You are triggered by this.
hate
We
Boston.
are not ingratiating ourselves to the bosses at DraftKings in Boston.
I was rooting for the
This is
Red
true.
Sox.
I was not. Go Magic.
I was just rooting for it to end.
That's fair too.
No, I was better. I talked about this on the podcast. I watched the entire World Series, but I have 2 TVs in my living room. And I think the Sunday night factor killed it because it's just you're going up against Sunday Night Football, which was an entertaining game, not exactly the closest, but it was an entertaining game. And you're losing to Sunday Night Football in general. And then you win. It was anticlimactic for the fact it was 4-1 and then it was on Sunday night. Like, I just thought that was a mistake.
Well, usually, I mean, Cust has always wanted to point this out, that football used to not go head-to-head with baseball on Sunday nights. The NFL was like, fuck this, we're way more popular.
Yeah, it was. I know that they have the new 2-3-2 format. I was surprised they had a game on Sunday night. It was shocking to see them, especially the
I'm still
caliber
waiting for
of game.
what you just said, Pat. I'm still waiting for, and by the way, you blew it 10 minutes into the show.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry about that.
So, I'm still waiting for them to, they wait for the end of the college football season to have the Saturday games. I'm still waiting for NFL to be like, screw it. Why are we waiting for that? Let's do Saturdays too.
Yeah, it's just like how The Bachelor is very smart, that they debuted the week after Monday Night Football ends in week 17. ABC just replaces that. So the guys get their 17 weeks. They make their wives watch Monday Night Football. Then the guys get sucked into The Bachelor. For the next 12 weeks, it's the same time slot.
It's true.
You don't have to change your routine whatsoever. That's savvy marketing.
It's pretty good.
Well, savvy was you doing the fantasy game for it too.
I would love to do that again this year. I'm seeing if I can somehow convince DraftKings to go into partnership with ABC. Then we can run DraftKings Bachelor contests. That's the next level. Then I can retire.
Disney DFS.
Disney DFS will go. Running backs. We had the trade of the century. Time code is 924 for this. Trade of the century. Ty Montgomery traded to Baltimore. What does this do for the Baltimore backfield?
Complicates it.
Does it
yes?
though?
I don't know.
I think Montgomery's just there to be a kick returner.
Probably. I would say that what did Tymont get in their most recent game? 6 snaps?
Yeah.
I could see something like that, 5 to 10 snaps on offense per game. Maybe he takes a little bit of Buck Allen's passing game role, but
And maybe a little bit of Alex Collins too. Just
Yeah.
dial them back a little bit.
I just think the main thing here is you're basically now taking what your fears were for Aaron Jones and now placing them upon Alex Collins or Buck Allen, which is just not that this guy is going to necessarily take anything away, but if the Ravens ever get in a super terrible script, if they get down 2 touchdowns, then maybe Tymont comes in and plays 35-40% of the snaps in a game. But it's really more just like the specter of something possibly happening than anything actually taking a hit.
So the real big news here, Jake, is what does this do to the Packers' backfield? You have Aaron, not Alex Jones, as I kept saying on Monday's show. Almost got me banned from Twitter and YouTube. And Jamal Williams, because everyone's just very quick to anoint Aaron Jones here as the guy. He's going to be the guy. And when we get to the rankings, I have him... I printed out the wrong rankings. I had it moved up to number 19 from 29 after the trade for this week. And I think it makes sense, but don't sit there and think that for a second that Jamal Williams just could be the guy that they use near the goal line like we saw last week.
Yeah.
Well, that's the biggest thing is you're looking at, it's still going to be a timeshare backfield. It's going to be what it always is. It's really, look at the Titans. It's Aaron Jones, is Deion Lewis, and all the lead. But when you get to the goal line, you get to the tough carries, you get to those kind of situations, it's Jamal Williams. And it's even a little bit more Jamal Williams because, as we know, it's the pass blocking too, which factors in. Mike McCarthy said it a million times already, and he's stood to his word. Unlike Pete Carroll, who seems to change his mind by the second, he stands to what he's saying. And the fact is, everybody had a role. Ty Montgomery, as you mentioned, I agree with you guys. I think if anything, this is more about Kenneth Dixon. It's maybe just that they don't think he's going to come back, and it's kind of an assurance for, like you said, a kick return or a little bit of usage in the passing game. I think the only surprise here would be maybe if Allen got hurt, or maybe he just usurps him. I don't know. I'm not that excited at all. But to your point, it's still going to be a split backfield. I still want Aaron Jones of the two, but Aaron Jones isn't all of a sudden going to be a top 15 running back going forward because they got rid of Ty Montgomery.
Garion Johnson or Aaron Jones the rest of the season?
Garion.
I'd still take Garion, yeah.
Garion? All right. Nick Chubb or Aaron Jones?
Chubb
for me as well. Lamar Miller or Aaron Jones?
That's
the
pretty
range.
close. Yeah.
Kenyon Drake or Aaron Jones?
Probably in a
still
PPR
take both of
Drake.
You take the non-Aaron Jones side of that?
I still take Lamar Miller. Like I've mentioned for 5-6 weeks in a row now to stash Deonta Foreman, but I said it's more almost just for a trade position here because the history of players coming back from Achilles injuries, let alone running backs, is like the worst thing you could find. So I don't know why everybody's expecting Deonta Foreman to come back and be like, oh, this is his backfield.
Well, I mean, the history of Achilles injuries are really peculiar because guys either come back and they're fine or they just never come back. So
right, but it's way more the latter than it is the former.
Sure, but if he comes back, I would assume that he's fine.
Yeah.
That's a lot of assumption.
He hasn't come back yet. That's what's starting to worry me.
I just feel like by the time he actually does get back, by the time it's ramped up to the point
matter.
where he could, it just won't matter. Lamar Miller's going to volume his way to being an RB2. It's what he does every single season. But that's roughly the range I would say where Aaron Jones is now comfortable. Because again,
Austin Eckler or Aaron Jones?
I would
Aaron
probably
Jones.
take Jones there just
because of the upside.
I mean, look, Eckler's been one of the most, if not the most efficient player in football, but that's always a double-edged sword. Like, you just can't be that efficient that long. He's the Tyler Lockett of running backs. And I'm going to keep banging my head up against a wall, but at some point, you have to finally be right. So
Chris Carson or Aaron Jones?
I was going to throw that one out to you, Pat. That's
interesting.
I'm team Chris Carson always, so I have no objectivity.
It seems like Carson's going to get the goal line carries. So,
he's going to get 25 carries a game.
Yeah. Might as well just go with Chris Carson in that one.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into the rankings. Todd Gurley, actually, guys that I have in: Melvin Gordon, Elijah McGuire. I think that he's going to be back. He's eligible to come back, so we'll see. Sony Michel, Duke Johnson, Chris Thompson. Because of all the trades, injury reporting this week with NFL reporters not been the greatest. So these rankings are going to change. Go to DK Playbook or hit the description throughout the week. I'll have them updated before the Thursday game, then again on Friday, then again on Sunday morning when we do the live show at 10 a.m. Guys, I have out Delvin Cook, Donta Foreman, Theo Riddick, Le'Veon Bell, Ronald Jones II, and Royce Freeman. Royce Freeman might play. Royce Freeman might sit. We'll see.
I feel like he probably sits.
So do I.
Yeah.
That's why I have him as probably out.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
We've also just got the narrative as old as time here, where they've got the bye week next week. Probably just
the
let him rest
sensible
for 3
thing
weeks.
would be to keep him out. You have to understand, these franchises, not the most sensible.
Is that like the story that's old as time?
So
It
is. Yes.
Todd Gurley is number 1 in the rankings because he's always number 1 in the rankings. Kareem Hunt, Zeke, Melvin Gordon, James Conner, Christian McCaffrey, Kamara, Latavius Murray, James White. That's with Sony Michel back. If not, James White would be higher. Tariq Cohen into Philip Lindsay, Adrian Peterson, Sony Michel. That awful Mark Ingram, Fantasy Pros has ranked at number 14 is where he would slot into my rankings this week. Nick Chubb, Garion Johnson, Lamar Miller, Chris Carson, Dion Lewis. I think that top 19 in a week with 6 teams on bye when you're desperate for running backs, that all those guys are starts.
Really? I'm just kind of surprised. I agree with you.
Normally, I would shut this off at like James White as the absolute must starts, but in a week where you're down Joe Mixon, you're down Marlon Mack, you're down Barkley.
Oh yeah, I would have Kenyon Drake higher than Dion Lewis this week. So I would add Kenyon Drake into that mix. Kenyon Drake is RB6 since week 5 in PPR formats.
I agree. And the matchup is not good for Dion Lewis.
No, it's not, but I think that Dion Lewis can like scum his way to like 15 points.
Fair, but when you look at like a direct comparison between the two, granted both teams don't really get into the red zone at all, but it is a worse matchup for Dallas. And just in terms of raw points scored the last 3 weeks, Miami's actually scored 25 points per game. Tennessee has scored 10. So I just think if you're looking at touchdown expectancy, if you're looking at who's been more utilized in the passing game, although they both kind of had these massive weeks and then tapered off. But I think I'd rather play Drake this week than Dion.
Agreed.
This is very interesting. The one problem I have between Lewis and Drake, and the reason that I went with Lewis, because when I was doing the rankings, this was sort of the breaking point for me.
Frank Gore is younger?
Well, yes, Frank Gore is younger, so that's one part of it, is that the Lewis usage doesn't change week to week. The Drake usage does. So this week we could see Kenyon Drake with like 17 touches. And
I think it's been pretty consistent with Osweiler, though.
With the past 2 weeks, sure. But you don't think that could change in a moment's notice?
I mean, even when he wasn't getting touches, he was playing 70% of the snaps.
But then he wasn't getting touches. He was just on the field.
Sure. I mean, that's fair.
He was playing like 56, 64. He wasn't playing 70.
Yeah, it was up around 70. It really, I remember I kept going back and looking, wow, Frank Gore must have played 40, 50% of the snaps this week. He just never did.
Here's the thing, and things that don't change is I was also looking at this too, and I was pulling up stats today of running from guard to guard and then running tackle and outside for running backs. Dallas is second guard to guard and fourth in tackle and outside and least amount of yards. Dallas's run defense is good no matter what kind of running back you are.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the argument would be Dion Lewis is going to exploit the passing game, but even then, like those numbers are very, very skewed to the one game they played against the Giants. They've just been one of the best defensive units in football.
Sure, but even so, like Lewis is going to be involved in the passing game, so is Kenyon Drake. Dion Lewis will be involved on the ground. I can't say the same thing for Kenyon Drake. He might get 6 carries. He might get 6 catches.
That's fair, but I mean, I think we're maybe looking too heavily at last week for Dion Lewis. I mean, Lewis hasn't been consistently used in the running game either. He's had his games with single-digit carries.
But he's getting, what is he averaging so far this season, like 13.5 touches per game?
I would also hope for more opportunities and more touches for the offense, and I don't think that's coming in this game.
Oh, in fairness, I actually have Aaron Jones at number 19. These are my old rankings I'm looking at.
Right.
So yeah, okay, start Kenyon Drake. I'm at number 20 you're starting.
Sure. I would just say that he's in that group for me too.
Is there anyone above that you would kind of make the case against? Like, is Nick Chubb too high at 15? New look offense.
It's a really good matchup. You can't really take it away from him. But I mean, I would say I'm less concerned about Chubb's usage than I am just excited that maybe Duke Johnson's role has changed.
Dude, I mean, I feel like Duke Johnson really hurt himself last week and like played through it.
Maybe that would be concerned. But
if that's the case, that would explain a lot. But you gotta hope. I mean, I even put him as a sleeper this week because Kansas City, number 1 in the league, is most receiving yards to running backs given up in their 8 games. You just give up to pass catching running backs. And I said the point is, we already heard that he's going to use a similar playbook. You hope some changes are made, but the fact is you can't ignore the guy who was inside the top 5 for pass catching running backs each of the past 2 seasons. Like, you just gave him a huge what did you give him a huge contract for? To make him go away?
I mean, it's the Browns. So maybe.
Oh, they trumped him?
Yeah. So Brady at 21, we're good with that? Or 22? You play him?
Yeah.
You play him? Look, it's against Oakland.
He's not on the injury report. He's going to come out of the game early now.
I know. Look, I as someone who owns Matt Breida, and granted, just by me saying that sentence, generally speaking, you know how terrible my running back core is. But yeah, you have to play Matt Breida. I mean, Oakland's given up the most rushing yards per game of any team in the NFL.
The guys right below him, I got Richard at 23, Coleman 24, Eckler, McCoy, Jordan Howard, Isaiah Crowell, Alex Collins, and then Fantasy Pros has jumped into my rankings and ranked that awful Doug Martin. Doug the Pug. He's truly horrendous, by
He
the way.
was having an okay game until he fumbled.
He wasn't having a real okay game when he tried to jump the pile on the 1 yard line
Yeah,
and had the same ups as me.
That was
none.
good too. Can I say
And then Derek Carr leaped the pile.
I'm
and
trying
then
to
someone
figure out-
And then someone tried to tell me, well, Derek Carr's really tall. Doug Martin's not. I was like, he's a fucking running. He's a running back. Sorry, Jake.
yeah.
He should have enough athleticism to get up and over the pile. He's an
You'd think
NFL
so.
running back.
You would think so. I know McGuire's back, and that kind of throws a bit of a wrench into the situation. This is the week that
A
everyone
Frank
thought
wrench?
Crowell was going to have last week is going to happen this week.
Okay.
Oh, God.
I mean, I always feel more comfortable just playing him on DraftKings
That's a good
and
way
just
to look
trusting
at it.
him because you never know with the Jets backfield.
That's true. I would just say that the Dolphins have given up an RB1 each of the past 5 weeks. So
I hope it's Jermaine Kearse reverses. I could really use that.
might happen. Who knows?
Chris Herndon in the fourth reverses.
But they've been absolutely gashed. I might rather play him over Tevin Coleman.
Really?
I mean, what has Tevin
Who?
Coleman done?
Nothing.
Who?
You saying
Isaiah Crowell.
Crowell over Coleman?
They've basically been the same guy, except I know one of them's going to get goal line carries.
Nah.
Also, one of them
I'm
has
not
to
going
play
that far.
Washington, who is yet to give up a 60-yard running back this season.
And they just picked up Clinton Dix.
It's true.
Which has to do with the passing game.
I just wanted to say, ha!
Yeah.
Like Roberto, the stabbing robot.
Yes.
I mean, look, what does
Good
Washington
reference.
have to do, honestly? Like, the last 3 weeks they've played Christian McCaffrey, Ezekiel Elliott, and Saquon Barkley, and have been amazing as run defenders.
All right, so
I don't like Tevin Coleman
So
at
I should
all.
move down Tevin Coleman to where? Peyton Barber or Tevin Coleman?
No, you can't move down Tevin Coleman. You're starting any of those people. Okay, even if you wanted to argue for Isaiah Crowell, there's no way you're starting like Eckler, who you just crapped on. LaShawn McCoy is going against the Bears. Jordan Howard, I mean, good God, if he doesn't get 20 carries, his day is toast.
Well,
I
again,
go,
this is
how
why saying someone should move down in rankings that aren't my own is tough. Like, I'm not saying every single person he is not as good as, but I just think Tevin Coleman's in a real bad spot this week.
So you just prefer Isaiah Crowell to Tevin Coleman?
Yeah,
Jake,
sure.
do you?
I don't.
Do you prefer Shady to Tevin Coleman?
I think I would actually
Now
prefer
that Shady's
Shady.
half quarterback?
No, because so you have a similar situation with the Saquon Barkley, and you have somebody who's been less effective than him. That if the passing game is what's saving him, and now you have Nathan Peterman at quarterback. No, I don't want anything to do with LaShawn McCoy this week.
I mean, the thing with Coleman hasn't been getting red zone carries. He hasn't been getting a high volume of carries, and he also hasn't been involved in the passing game for like 5 weeks. I just don't know what Tevin Coleman's even done to warrant us considering him. Aside from the fact we've all been sitting here for 3 years being like, oh, I can't wait till Tevin Coleman is all by himself in that backfield. I don't get what he's done to earn this placement. Like, he's not been good.
His off-season contract keeps decreasing by the day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Coming out of a bye, I feel like Atlanta might be a little bit better.
Maybe.
They might have sort of an idea of what they want to do on offense.
Sure.
Instead of just having all these good players and being like, I don't know.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm
It's not
always
like
shocked
Ito
with
Smith
how
has
little
been
he's
doing
done.
anything.
No, but I'm not. My argument wouldn't even be that Ito Smith is like better
Right.
than him and needs to be taking away his carries. It's just that Tevin Coleman hasn't done crap since I think it was week 3. He had a pretty nice game, but you know if he doesn't break off that 30-yard touchdown last week, which is the first rushing touchdown he's scored since week 1, another terrible game for Tevin Coleman.
So what you're saying is that in your mind, Colemania not running wild.
Not running wild.
Not running wild.
No, unfortunately.
They probably need their vitamins so they can hulk up. Then Colemania will be once again running wild on you,
Brother?
brother.
I mean, to all those points, I mean, I'd probably start Doug Martin over Coleman and all of them.
Doug Martin.
I don't want to. Well, I mean, I don't want to.
Ban
but
Doug
this
Martin.
entire-
You want to ban kickers? I'll ban Doug Martin. Ineligible to
ban
play in
kickers.
fantasy.
Get ban back. There we go. Ban kickers.
It's a really good shirt.
Yes.
It's an excellent shirt.
here. There we go. Thank you. With the Kung Fu. You can order those, by the way.
From where?
Do you want me? Oh, well, I'm not. No, I wouldn't mail them to Canada. Sorry. I actually checked on the shipping. They're just twice as much as the shirt. But you just have to email me. Just email me. Ciely at The Athletic.
At The Athletic or The Athletic?
The Athletic.
See, it should be The Athletic.
I know. I got what you were saying, but I'm just repeating how I said it. But
In
look,
all caps.
I think what we're getting to here is that the bottom end of RB2 and then you get into the RB3s is miserable.
Yeah,
That's a fair assessment.
Yes,
yeah.
I would proclaim it as good. Not.
I mean, honestly, we're looking at, I just look deeper.
Yeah, I mean, there's sort of
Peyton
a nice
Barber at 31. Peyton Barber has no competition for touches.
Yeah. Again, there's sort of a nice tier here in the mid-30s where you find all these pass-catching running backs who, in theory, are in very good spots this week. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, I don't have the utmost trust in Peyton Barber. I'm not going to lie to you.
fair.
Especially
I mean,
because he got all these snaps with Fitzmagic the first 3 weeks and did absolutely nothing with them. They didn't even run.
That is true.
Yeah.
So that worries me. Like, it seemed like
Well,
when
he was fourth in carries after 2 weeks. He just hadn't done anything with those carries.
Sure.
Right.
And when every time, I mean, they were also scoring like 60-yard touchdowns every time they were on the field, but it seemed like almost like the Packers situation. It seemed like when the Bucs got in close, they just threw.
Oh no, sure. That seems to be their predilection. Again, I just think there's, and maybe like you said, along with Isaiah Crowell, where these are just better DraftKings plays than they are season-long plays. But you know, you have Devontae Booker, who, I mean, to your credit, you said his role would expand. It didn't expand a ton, but he got
to 100 yards and 4 catches.
Yeah, 45% of the snaps, which was a season high.
He helped my contrarian lineup. I actually had him in one last week.
Like, it's crazy we've gotten to the point in fantasy football where we're celebrating a guy who's broken out of his 3 running back by committee situation into a nice solid 2 running back by committee situation. But really, that creates a top 30 running back at this point. So I think Booker's role is very sound. Houston is not Kansas City, but
Kansas shitty.
There it is. There it is.
So in the 30s, it is Peyton Barber at 31 after Doug Martin, where he was ranked. Judge Ito, Devontae Booker, Chris Ivory, Chris Thompson, who I just think is hurt. He might not play this week.
And that's
Right.
the weird one.
Duke Johnson, Buck Allen, Elijah McGuire, Derrick Henry, LeGarrette Blount. You got like Kiz Rogers. I actually bumped up Jamal Williams to number 37 here in the updated rankings. I printed off.
Yeah, but see, I feel better about Booker and Duke Johnson than I do some of the guys in the 20s. Like, I would say better as in a better floor. It's such a headache of a week.
But I mean, I guess it depends on what you want to accomplish out of playing these guys. Like if you're playing Jordan Howard or LaShawn McCoy, then you're just praying that new school Frank Gore, LaShawn McCoy, finds his way into the end zone somehow.
Hasn't happened yet.
But his pass catching floor is still decently high. With Howard, that you know that if he gets the volume, he should get the goal line work, and then he falls his way into the end zone. Like a good week for Jordan Howard right now is like 15 points.
To be fair, not that it's been a ton of success.
Jordan Howard's like the poor man's Nick Chubb.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Oh, no, it's sell high on him right now for the people that aren't paying attention. That's what's been going on with him.
But McCoy, when the Bills, I mean, it's such a sad hurdle to get to. But they've cleared it a couple of times. When the Bills can kind of keep a game within 2 scores even. Honestly, just within 2 scores. In either direction, mind you, because McCoy had a bad game when they blew out the Vikings. But
he got hurt.
Oh, it's true, he got hurt in that game. But when they've been able to keep it reasonably close, he's gotten 17 to 20 touches per game. Like, you know, again, in this iteration of fantasy football where 20 touches is almost unheard of, I know they are low leverage, low efficiency touches, but it's still a lot of work.
And listen, he's playing quarterback half the snaps now too.
They're
running super wildcat, so he might throw one of these someday too. Get them Danny Amendola points.
And in an IDP league, he's going to get a bunch of tackles this week.
That is next level thinking. Peterman
go.
throws enough picks. I don't think Shady has the effort to put in for tackling.
Yeah, that's a good point. Who's a real tryhard on that team?
Like if Marcus
Kroom.
Like if Kroom's on the field, Kroom almost caught a touchdown with the Monday Nighter, and which would have covered the spread too, which would have been fantastic. Also, odds and lines are subject to change. See website for actual odds if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help. Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Betting on the Bills might constitute a gambling problem.
No. I didn't have money on the Bills. Any other running back that we should big up here? Like, let's say Sony Michel sits. Would you rather play Cordero Patterson or Kenyon Barner?
Patterson.
Neither.
Yeah, neither? Okay.
Don't play either, but
No.
look,
I mean,
as soon as he
joked
got
about
a goal
Patterson
line
in the
carry,
waiver column last week, and I said, watch him be the guy, because if you look at the use in Barner, I mean, what is Barner? Although I wasn't expecting that much use, but even if he did, Patterson looked terrible because he's not a running back.
He got lit up on
the goal line carry.
No, the goal line carry got lit up. There was one like late in the third quarter where the hole was there, and he hit the hole and just wham!
He's
so big.
He's so big. I know. He runs as upright as anybody I've ever seen. But whatever. It works.
It works. It all works. So there's no one like, you're not like a big Mike Davis guy. hey, the Bucks might be down in this game. Jaquiz Rodgers might get on the field.
It's going to be in week 9 and week 11 with the 6 buys. It's just going to be hard to find anyone who's really relevant outside.
Bye to me.
At 45, you got to go Raheem Mostert. I told you, this DeBrita is going to get hurt week.
But even then, it could just be Alfred Morris.
or
No.
Jersey.
Because also, Mostert could also just be hurt.
I will say that if Elijah McGuire doesn't play...
Mostert.
If Elijah McGuire doesn't...
Mostert.
If Elijah McGuire doesn't play, you could probably play Cannon this week for like 7 PPR points.
Sure.
You get 4 catches for 30 yards.
I was going to say 6 catches for 10 yards.
Either way, it all adds up to be the same. Let's move to receivers. This is where the big trades came in. And again, if you want to get a draw for 20 DK dollars, give the episode a like, leave your DK handle in the comment section, and tell me who you think will have more value for the rest of the season. Keek Da Sneak or Demaryius Thomas. I think it's going to be Cutie. Who do you think?
I would say Demaryius.
Now, this is all contingent on Cutie actually playing.
Yes. We don't know if either of these gentlemen will be playing this weekend. But I would just say DT. He's probably got the higher volume of red zone targets. At least you would assume.
I don't even care about that.
I agree, but this is at least a better spot for him now.
Jake, which one do you like?
It's Demaryius Thomas. QT is their slot receiver. He's their number 3 receiver. He's going to be what he was when Will Fuller was healthy, which is almost non-existent. Yeah, he'll probably pop off for another 2 or 3 games, but with Demaryius Thomas, at least he's healthy, unlike Will Fuller. And I'm not saying he's got the downfield ability that Will Fuller has anymore, but he's still the number 2. It's DeAndre Hopkins and Demaryius Thomas. QT's got the leftovers. I'm sorry. I like him. It's the leftovers.
What do you think of the idea that DT is too slow to play on the outside now? They put him in the slot and put Cutie on the outside.
That's even worse for Cutie.
That would be worse for
Would
Cutie.
Bill O'Brien have the capacity to come up with that?
I mean, he might read Twitter. No, he wouldn't.
Nah, I don't think he would.
He definitely
No, so to go to your point, that's why when I wrote up the draft, the impact for Demaryius Thomas, as I said, this is pretty much a net even because he's going to a better quarterback situation, but he's going to be playing outside, which is actually probably even more often than he was with the Broncos, which wasn't that often that he was in the slot. But losing it, if he stays outside all of the time, it's not going to matter for the fact that he's playing with Watson. It's going to offset each other.
Okay, let's think of it this way. Demaryius Thomas, stock up or stock down? I think it's stock down.
I would say like stock neutral, yeah.
Okay,
but if you force me to pick one of the two, I would say slightly.
No, you can say neutral because I think that Cutie is neutral in this situation. I don't think he really changes all that much.
Yeah, and I would agree with that, and sort of even to Jake's point, which is just that we don't really know what his value in a 3 wide receiver offense is because we attributed him with all this value as soon as Will Fuller went down. We never actually got to see him play a snap in this scenario.
Sure, but even when Will Fuller was playing, he was garnering more target share than Will Fuller was. Now, maybe that's because Will Fuller was banged up.
With banged up games. Will Fuller wasn't healthy during those games.
And also with how this offense is constituted, with how quickly that Deshaun Watson has to get the ball out half the time, literally almost half the time. I mean, Will Fuller was running routes that took 2, 3, 4 seconds to develop. So.
Sure, and DT's going to run just a 5-yard slant, and boom, the ball's going to be in his hands.
And that'll still take him 3, 4 seconds to do.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so let's just put a wide receiver rank on these guys the rest of the season. Demaryius Thomas, I'm going to say wide receiver 43.
I would say
30.
29, yeah.
29, 30. I'll say Kiki Cutie, wide receiver 34 the rest of the season.
I think that's fair.
40?
I think like 35, 36.
Okay, Golden Tate now in Philadelphia. Stock up or stock down?
Same.
I think it's stock neutral too. I'd say that he is wide receiver 23 the rest of the season.
Yeah, this one
people
is just
don't realize
really...
that he played outside more than, but people just assume he's only a slot guy. He plays outside more than people realize. That being said, he was seeing a 28% market share when he was with the Lions. That's obviously going to drop because that's what Zach Ertz has been seeing. But
I think this might hurt. This basically, the way this breaks down is I think that Ertz is still probably the best tight end, but he's not going to be on that pace that he was in terms of targets and receptions.
Yeah.
It's going to take away from him, and it's going to hurt Dallas Goedert. Which in turn was hurting Ertz.
It hurts Alshon a little bit.
I don't know if it hurts Alshon that much.
Craters Nelson Aguilar, which is fine. Yeah. No one was using Aguilar anyway, and this might save you from yourself.
It goes back to what we had last year. Just put the percentage. The percentages are going to go basically to what we saw last season for Alshon Jeffrey and Zach Ertz, which just put that value and carry it over. It's a little bit down from where they're at right now, but Golden Tate comes over, stays the same in an offense that has more snaps and more opportunities in the red zone, but he sees a little bit of decrease in his market share as well. So it's not enough that you have to worry about anybody.
Okay. Kenny Galladay, stock up, stock down.
Way up.
Have to go up. Yeah.
I wouldn't say way up. I'd say Marvin Jones, the stock is way up.
How's it not way up? He had 3 targets in 2 games.
Yeah.
But before that, he was their guy. Like
But
I think if
it just gives him a level
we
of
were going to
consistency.
attribute value to both those guys, even entering this week, off the 2 bad games if Golden Tate was still there, and off the 2 touchdown game for Marvin Jones, each one of us would have said Kenny Galladay be the guy that we want.
No.
Sure.
What?
No. If all 3 were there, no. You can't ignore what was going on with Kenny Galladay. You cannot ignore that. People were dropping Kenny Galladay.
What?
I wouldn't do it. I'm just saying, if you told me that trade didn't happen, it's Marvin Jones and Golden Tate. It's always been Marvin Jones and Golden Tate. Kenny Galladay has the higher ceiling. I love Kenny Galladay. I love him as much as anybody does. But at the same time, you can't ignore what was happening. And what was happening was they're running more, which left it down to 2 wide receivers, which is Marvin Jones and Golden Tate. And Kenny Galladay is left with the scraps. Now that's why it's stock way up. If you would have told me 2 weeks ago, the stock would have been neutral because he was being involved.
Okay, so rest of the season, where is Kenny Galladay? Wide receiver what? I'm going to say 17.
2.
You say 2?
No. A2.
No, give me a number. I said 17.
20.
Yeah.
Slightly behind you.
Let's say 22.
Where's Marvin Jones? I'll say wide receiver 23.
15.
Wow.
So you think that Marv is better than Kenny Galladay fantasy the rest of the season?
I just think still has more of a rapport with Matthew Stafford. Would it surprise me if it's reversed? No, but they're both inside my top 20 for me the rest of the season. I'm starting both every single week.
Yeah, I would again say they're both top 25 receivers. So regardless of how that
And I
plays
would put
out,
them
neither
both
is a
in
wide
front of
receiver
Courtland
1.
Sutton.
Okay, Courtland Sutton's the last one. I would put both in front of Courtland Sutton too, but I think that
He's top 30.
I think that Courtland Sutton is now better than Demaryius Thomas and Kiki Cutie. Like I would say he's like wide receiver 28, something like that.
I think it's a
Like
good
if I had the number
I
one
was
waiver
going to say 25 to 30 range.
if he was available in my league, which like I'm going to hear in the comments, you're not available in my league. My league's so good. Of course, Sutton's not available. Well, he's available. He's available in like 85% of leagues. So I don't know what to tell you. Apparently,
Yeah, look, I had somebody ask me if Courtland Sutton, Marvin Jones, and Kenny Galladay are all available. Who should I go for first? So there's people out there that aren't, I'm sorry, super experienced like everybody watching the show.
yeah. So I would burn my number one waiver priority if I needed a receiver.
Yes.
I'd empty the fab budget on him.
Yep.
Like
Yes.
How often do you get a receiver come up throughout the course of the season that you assume is going to be good?
Oh, yeah.
There's no lock that he's going to be good, but he should be really good. And we don't even know if Emmanuel Sanders is going to play this week.
And we've talked about this before, and I'm sure you've hit on it in the waiver wire show, but this concept that we've lived by the last 10, 15 fantasy seasons where, eventually that running back injury will happen that opens up this giant volume share for a particular guy.
Right.
That's not going to happen anymore because there are so many running back by committees, and we've all just become so adept at picking up handcuffs. Like I think I own Malcolm Brown and Chase Edmonds in one league.
The reason that you're doing well in our keeper leagues because you kept James Conner before the bell
exactly.
thing.
These are just things that people do now. So yeah, if you can pick up a wide receiver who's going to be definitively top 30 the rest of the season, just do it.
Yeah. Don't think about it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Do it.
What about the fringe pieces here? Like in Detroit, I'm guessing it's TJ Jones?
Probably, but I
It
think what
is,
Jake
but-
said is very valid here. With the success they've had running the
Did you
football.
know that he knocked up Teresa from the challenge?
No.
They have a kid together. Wow. Yeah. She went from
I didn't know that.
She went from Kenny to Wes to TJ Jones.
The glow up.
Can we get the sites to agree if it's TJ with dots or not? By NFL.com, it is dots. Can we just get everybody on the same page?
I don't use dots. Dots are for suckers.
You're a CC Sabathia, man.
I am. Charleston Chew Sabathia. Best in the biz.
He was round enough without adding dots.
So, do you need to pick him up?
No.
Any size 14 team league?
No, well, yeah, I mean, you take the flyer on that in case they go pass happy again and Theo Riddick doesn't come back for a while. But if Theo Riddick comes back, that's going to hurt him too.
He's wide receiver 3.
Well, that's the thing. Do you think that in this sort of scenario that they start running 2 running backs on the field and Theo Riddick just plays the slot?
Or there are 15 tight ends and Michael Roberts catching all the touchdowns.
You'd think I'd remember his name is Michael, considering it's the most common name in the world, but can't do it.
I keep thinking his name is Michael Richards, and I keep calling him Kramer. I just sound like an idiot.
That would be John Roberts, actually.
It'd be Muhammad Roberts, actually.
Yeah. Wake up, G.
Well, actually, knowledge drop.
Deshaun Hamilton in Denver. And
he's dealing with the MCL sprain.
Is he? I thought he was going to be back though.
No, they're still not certain.
Honestly,
I mean, if it's It's honestly him. He needs to be in the slot. And he's a very, very. I love Deshaun Hamilton. 3 years in a row, people are overlooking a Penn State wide receiver, but he's a slot guy. So yes, if he returns, 14-teamer, go ahead and stash him. But you're talking about the third wide receiver with Case Keenum, really? I mean, if it's not him, it's Tim Patrick, who just caught the touchdown that nobody helped.
Well, I was going to say maybe this just vaults Jeff Herman into someone you can use.
No, you have to say it like you have to say it like you're on the Californians. Herman.
Take the I-18 to Herman.
Herman. All right, actual rankings. Guys that I have probably in. Tyreek Hill. May or may not play, but I have him in right now. Kenny Stills, Kiki Cutie, Mike Evans, Emmanuel Sanders, Tavon Austin, and Cooper Kupp I have as probably and probably out. Rashard Higgins, Jamison Crowder, Pierre Garcin, Lucky Pierre, who did not get traded. John Ross.
So lucky.
Torrey Smith, Allen Robinson, Robbie Anderson, and little Quincy Enunwa. Obviously, Golden Tate has been taken off the slate because he is now on the Eagles, who are on
dub bye.
Who are on bye. It's like the Adrian Peterson dub bye.
There you go.
So that leaves.
No, he's the Amari Cooper. He gets a 2-week bye.
There we go. So let's actually talk about the rankings. Number 1 is Adam Thielen. Number 2 is DeAndre Hopkins. Number 3, Julio Jones, Antonio Brown, Devontae Adams, Michael Thomas, Mike Evans, Robert Woods, Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen. Into Brennan Cooks, Stefan Diggs, Juju, Jarvis, Sanders, if he plays, Julian Edelman, Kenny Galladay, Cooper Kupp, Devin Funchess, Marv Jones at number 20. And that goes into, I'd say that's the tier, right? Absolute must-starts, those top 20.
It's weird. I don't know.
Funchess against the Bucks, that's a good matchup.
No, that's fine. It wasn't even that. It's just the Rams aren't completing many passes like the last 3 weeks.
You got to feel like this.
I know it's the perfect matchup, and I guess there's no way you're not starting any of the three,
especially in again a week with 6 teams on bye. Like you're starting them.
It's just surprising. Like they've only completed I think it's 17 passes a game the last 3 weeks.
Maybe they need Cooper Kupp out there.
Maybe Josh Reynolds got 2 touchdowns.
That's true. But to open up the other guys.
Maybe. Or maybe they just keep giving it to Todd Gurley 25 times a game.
That also works too, but it just
you still ran 3 wide like 82% last week.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that you're not playing any of them. I'm not saying that none are viable, but it's just interesting to have 3 wide receivers inside the top 18 when they just haven't completed that many passes the last 3 weeks. But it is the Saints. So
is there any circumstance in any week where Josh Gordon should ever be ranked over Julian Edelman?
No.
I don't think there
not
is.
In PPR.
Not in PPR.
Even in standard. Like, Julian Edelman's just being used more.
I mean, again, we all had predicted that was going to happen in that particular game.
I agree, but since they've both been on the field at the same time, when has Edelman really been written out? Never.
He hasn't. And I will say, too, even though the numbers hadn't been massive, he'd kind of saved himself with 2 touchdowns in the first 3 games. In 3 games, he already racked up 7 red zone targets. It's insane how hyper-utilized he is in the red zone.
Did you know that I am leading my bet with Tim? That he bet me that Philip Dorsett would outscore Julian Edelman this season.
Yeah, that's shocking.
How many bets do you have with him?
I think I have 17 open bets with him.
Well, you have to understand, like,
I'm currently leading 15 of them.
If you talk,
and one of them is a 10-1.
Yeah, if you talk for, let's even just say over the course of one show. So if you talk for 90 minutes to Tim and allow him half that time, so 45 minutes to just give his inane, asinine takes, at some point you're just going to keep jumping in, being like, I'll take that bet, I'll take that bet. And the bets really start racking up. I was there for a lot of these.
I didn't know if it was the other way around.
No.
Like I'm one of those guys that I talk to. So you want to bet? I'm like, why is every argument we have to be a bet?
No. Tim will say something. I'll be like, I'll bet you that's not true.
Yep.
Okay. That's just smart.
And then he gets suckered into
it.
Okay. The guys from this next level, like John Brown, Lockett. I know you're not feeling Lockett. I'm not feeling him either, but I don't know what to do with it. He keeps scoring touchdowns.
I know. No, there's a stat. There's a stat I saw heading into today that Russell Wilson, I believe, is 25 for 28 when targeting Tyler Lockett, and he has a perfect quarterback rating, 158.3.
Well, I mean,
it's crazy, and I hate it, but whatever.
Well, we know Russell Wilson has a proven track record of this through the past 4 weeks. He only needs to throw.
I thought that was David Moore.
15 touch.
It might also be David Moore. That's the thing.
He only needs to throw 15 times a game to throw 4 touchdowns.
Remember when we all freaked out because Matt Ryan was throwing way too many touchdowns? There's no way he could possibly sustain this. His touchdown rate was 7.1%. Russell Wilson's is 8.8. It is. He hasn't completed 20 passes. He doesn't throw
more than 20 times a game.
I know. He threw 17 passes last week. Tyler Lockett was targeted twice. And all 3 of his touchdowns were also at some point either deflected or bobbled by a defender into the hands of the receiver. I don't know. I don't know.
It's his year?
I guess.
It's the year of Lockett.
I guess. I guess.
So you're
drives
Russell
me-
Wilson.
It drives me insane. But yeah, sure. Tyler, I can't make an argument that he should be lower. I can't.
Sanu, Tyrell Williams, is he the second Chargers receiver you want to play?
For now.
He's outscoring.
Mike Williams?
Mike Williams. He's also outscoring Keenan Allen the last couple weeks.
What do you...
Well, Keenan Allen's got positive regression coming.
Yeah, I gotta say, is Keenan Allen the best buy low elite receiver there is?
I would think so.
Yes, because
Like,
he's
by
on
far.
a Julio Jones kind of situation right now. Only one touchdown and still on pace for, 1,200 yards or something?
Yeah. I feel like people don't... Like, there was a guy who popped up in the live chat who got banned for life, because that's what I do to people now. I ban them for life from the chat if they just get too annoying. But he was complaining about Christian McCaffrey's production this year. In PPR leagues, too. Like,
What do you want from the guy?
I don't know. Like, what did you expect when you drafted him? He's a top 10 running.
So you saw it too, Pat, because I tweeted out Sunday when he got the touchdown. I was like, can everybody stop complaining about Christian McCaffrey now? And some people were like, who's complaining about Christian McCaffrey? I was like, you obviously haven't been following my chats and stuff on the Athletic. So I guess I'm glad you were seeing the same thing.
I mean, in fairness, Jake, I'm not following your chats on The Athletic either.
No.
I paid $4 for that nonsense.
$3 and change with a discount. All in sports.
There you go. All in sports. Get yourself some Athletic. Get into Jake's chat and listen to people complain about Christian McCaffrey.
Highly recommend. Every writer on the planet works for them. So,
Not me.
We just got
Not you,
Trent.
that's
We
true.
just got Trent Dilfer.
What? Really?
wow. Can do
Yeah.
film breakdowns?
I would like to.
Interesting.
I like to have him on the pod.
I barely write anymore anyway. I don't know what I would do there. I dictate things. I used to write a lot. Not
You
so
did,
much
yeah.
anymore. Now I do the talkins. Devontae Parker, 26. You were nailed Devontae Parker last week.
I mean, I wasn't like 100% confident in it, but somebody had to catch passes. Again,
I'm just making sure he hasn't been traded yet.
no, he hasn't. I was waiting for them to get like 7 firsts for him. It never actually materialized. Look, he's their best receiver. This isn't hard.
Guess who got added to the injury report for Oakland for Thursday night?
Jordy Nelson.
Okay. Oh no, Brandon LaFell?
Garion!
Oh, that guy.
Garion Conley, the only other Garion on earth.
He punched a woman too. It's not a great
Not a great look.
not a great guy to share a name with.
I can't put Devontae Parker that high.
To
he got
your
tons of
point,
targets.
who else they throwing to?
No, because this is what did we say 4 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago when we all gave Garion credit for the only person who would say it apparently is don't trust any Dolphins wide receiver.
Look, I would just say parameters have changed in that some of their receivers are just dead now. Obviously,
what if
Kenny
Kenny
Stills
Stills is
coming
back?
No, obviously Stills coming back would affect this a little bit, so maybe you don't have Parker this high. But if I'm just going to trust what I assumed has been the case for the last 3 seasons, and I probably watch more Dolphins football than anyone with a healthy.
Should.
Yeah, pretty much. He's just their best receiver. Maybe it doesn't turn out that he scores the most fantasy points, but he is their best receiver.
Should I have him at 26? Should I have him lower? I guess is my question.
I'm just trying, like,
I'm going lower.
I had the same problem, though, when we got to Tyler Lockett. Like, my initial gut check reaction was he can't be that high, but who are you putting above him? There's so many receivers on bye.
Here are guys that you could put above him. You could put Courtland Sutton above him. But I don't know how much I want to trust Courtland Sutton just yet. Maybe I'm being a coward about it. I think you should pick him up. I think he's going to be fine. Week 1 in a new role against Houston, who does have a banged up secondary. This is true.
They do.
But Case Keenum also kind of reeks. So there's that part of
Well,
it.
you've also got the immediate revenge game of Demaryius
Yes,
Oh,
Thomas.
that is true.
I didn't even think about that.
I know. I tweeted that out earlier. I was like, does he even leave? Like, why even go to Houston? Just wait for the team to get there.
I guess Sutton would be the only guy I would say. Sure, you could. Move
No,
him
I would
above
start
Parker,
Sutton. I would actually strongly consider Demaryius Thomas, and I would go Sammy Watkins.
The one I was thinking about was Deshaun Jackson, who's just been fire with Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Chris Godwin's still getting more snaps. Still.
The thing with Sammy too is like he's one of very
He's
few
good
receivers.
or not?
Well, let's think. He's one of very few receivers who could score 2 touchdowns and look dominant in a game, and it doesn't change my outlook on him at all.
Okay, how about this? What if Tyreek Hill sits?
Oh, sure.
Sammy
I
Watkins
think you'd have to
was
move
a
Sammy
ton.
Watkins way up.
But see, that's what I'm also factoring here is like maybe Tyreek Hill's less than 100% in this game.
But regardless of whether Hill plays or not, doesn't Denzel Ward just shadow Sammy Watkins this entire time?
Not
Is he-
necessarily.
is he-
Denzel Ward started off hot. He hasn't been as locked down as he was at the beginning of the
I
season.
mean, he did a pretty good job. He gave up a score to Antonio Brown last week. He wasn't covering him.
I'm not even talking about that game.
But just like that's pretty. If we're gonna talk about like Washington limiting running backs, Denzel Ward limiting Antonio Brown twice this season is pretty good. Like, I think he went 5 for 55 in the score against Denzel Ward. You didn't take that from Antonio Brown.
Yeah, again,
he's the best receiver in football.
Pro Football
Yeah, but
Focus
wasn't
has
it
him as
on
the third
5
best coverage
targets?
corner.
Yeah,
But I mean, a low target share like that with one of the most targeted receivers in the NFL
means
that
they're not
also
throwing
means
at
something.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it could just mean where the rest of the targets go is just mixed around throughout the day. I mean, I don't know how much weight I'm putting into that. I think you're kind of reading a little too deep into it.
I see. I don't think so. I think that
the
they
numbers
see
suggest
him
he's
on
been
that side
very
of the field.
good,
Be like,
yeah.
I don't want to throw that way unless Antonio Brown's open.
I really don't think Denzel Ward. First of all, I don't think Ben Roethlisberger's ever thinking that with Antonio Brown versus anybody in the entire NFL. I don't care who the flip you are. You're not getting that kind of respect for Antonio Brown.
Oh,
Second of all,
I think you see that Antonio Brown has a step, you throw it to him. If he doesn't have that step, you just look elsewhere. You have awesome receivers.
right, but that's my point. Is I don't think he's sitting there going, "Oh, Denzel Ward's on him. Let me be concerned now."
No, but I don't think it's that long of a thought process. I just think it's as simple as Antonio Brown wasn't open on maybe 2 or 3 of the times Ben was looking his way for
Right,
his
but we
normal
started this
target
off
share.
by saying concern about Denzel Ward being on him. My point is, he's open or not. I don't know.
Yeah, but
that could
whether or
happen
not
on a
he's
lot of
open is
plays.
dependent on how good the cornerback covering
But
is
not,
at coverage.
It's not like what you're waiting for. He's got Juju Smith-Schuster and multiple other options. It's not like you're
Juju
sitting
had
there
a
like,
very
oh my
bad
god.
game.
Look at the fact that Denzel Ward's locked him down for the first second of this play.
I think that's what coverage is in a nutshell.
I mean, it's. I would almost think of it almost like the old Nnamdi Asomugha thing, where just he's on that side of the field, we're not throwing there.
I don't know if it's to
that's
that
my
extent,
point.
but
Exactly.
But
That's
if you have if you have Ward on Sammy Watkins, I think it's gonna be like, well, let's just throw to whoever else. We don't need to throw that way.
But at that point,
stupid Sammy Watkins.
I would say at that point, there's so much of an implied volume share with Sammy Watkins in a game where let's say Tyreek Hill straight up does not play.
Well, I mean, I don't even think I would move Sammy Watkins all that much. I'd just move up Chris Conley.
I don't know.
And how do you know it's not DeMarcus
They
Robinson?
just
No,
score
it's
so
Sammy
many
Watkins.
touchdowns. I feel like you'd have to.
Isn't DeMarcus Robinson out for the year, or is that DeAnthony Thomas?
That's Anthony Thomas.
Anthony Thomas.
Yeah.
They have too many guys. Calm down on the guys, Kansas City. Demetrius Harris is going to be out there. Oh, Sammy
That's what
Watkins.
they have. They have a lot of D's.
Sammy Watkins there's really no ranking for him. He is either start or sit for you.
That's true.
That's what you do with him on your team. Either you always play him or you don't play him. Anyway, this week he's a start because there's tons of guys on bye. We should probably get into the real things. Corey Davis, starting him? I'm at 33.
Not if you don't have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at, here's the thing about. Hold on. Here's the thing about Marcus Mariota. We all know this. We keep saying this. Marcus Mariota doesn't throw red zone interceptions. He literally doesn't throw red zone interceptions because he's a safe, cautious player who throws over the middle of the field. This is why Delaney Walker's career got extended as long as it did. What happened in the last game before the bye? Tajay Sharp saw all of the targets. And I'm not saying Sharp has surpassed Corey Davis. And I love Corey Davis. I've said it since the draft. Everybody knows I love Corey Davis. All I'm saying is there's legit a concern that I now have going forward that Sharp starts to become the number one targeted wide receiver for this team, where that pushes Corey Davis into he's not a must start anymore.
That's a bit of a Stephen A. Smith moment for Jake, where it's like, you know I love LeBron. You know I am the godfather of his second child. I would not say anything disparaging about this man, but LeBron cannot be played this week.
Would you play Corey Davis or Amari Cooper? I'd play Corey Davis. Fuck Amari. Screw Amari Cooper.
They're both players I really don't want to play.
They're playing against each other too.
Yeah. Look,
Amari Cooper.
I play Davis. I still have a suspicion that Cole Beasley outscores Amari Cooper this year. Maybe not this week. Maybe
Well,
not
for the rest
today.
of the year, that's fine.
Maybe not today. Maybe
I
not
hate
tomorrow.
Amari Cooper.
Byron Jones has actually been very good too.
Lord
If
Byron?
we're going to talk about just cornerbacks who are ranking high on PFF's coverage,
He'll
list.
shut down number one receiver Tajay Sharp.
Oh, they'll definitely see it. They'll see. Hey, Byron's out there. Forget it. Ignore him. We're not going that way.
I'm just stating a fact. That's all I wanted to say. Not putting any implication behind it. Byron Jones, number one coverage corner by Pro Football Focus. Just putting that out there.
So it depends on who he ends up getting on.
Exactly.
Gotta read that Mike Clay wide receiver cornerback article on ESPN.
Hollywood Mike Clay.
Hollywood Mike
Get him
Clay.
some clicks.
So Corey Davis, Amari Cooper back-to-back 33, 34. If there's a week to just like take a shot on Cooper, see what it's all about. This is the week.
Yeah.
I still think that trading him is probably the best move.
Yeah, but if you own him, I don't know how you're
course.
not playing him in a 6-bye week.
Probably. So I got Traquan, Kiki, Gabriel, DJ Moore.
That's probably going to be the popular DK play this
DJ
week
Moore?
is DJ Moore.
I like DJ Moore too, but if Torrey Smith returns, I think that puts a damper on the amount of snaps he's going to play.
No, here's the thing: is I kind of agree with the thought process initially, but the what I like that we saw was DJ Moore played in front of everybody else except for Devin Funchess. Like he played in front of Curtis Samuel. He got more snaps. Now this name just went out of my head. The slot receiver for them, but anyway, he played the number 2 wide receiver role, and I think they've realized maybe we should stop sitting on this talent.
Maybe, but they seem kind of enamored. When Torrey Smith is healthy, he's the one who's out there. He didn't play last week, so DJ Moore got extra run.
It's certainly a possibility, but I'm saying we could hope for. Well, to Garion's point, that's why you fade him in tournaments, because if you have Torrey Smith come out and then all of a sudden it's a bad, because everybody's going to be on him facing the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you need someone to start as your wide receiver 3, by all means, fire up some DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Just know it's no lock.
No.
Crabtree at 39, Coles, Hole, Beasley, 40. Anthony Miller, Godwin, Ridley, Cobb, Robbie Anderson. Although I listened to him as out, he's actually in the rankings. Paul Richardson, Jermaine Kearse, Mike Williams, Willie Snead, Seth Roberts. I was going to rank Brendan LaFell-Sexwell higher, but then I got into the situation. Sherman's probably going to be matched up with him, because who else is he going to cover?
I have no idea. He did make the rankings, though. Good for Brendan LaFell-Sexwell.
He had a good week. He caught 3 passes or something.
Richardson could be fun. I don't really know how to differentiate Richardson and Doxson.
Doxson doesn't do anything. At least Richardson does some things.
I guess, yeah. I would
both
probably
bad.
lean Richardson. It's just such a good matchup. I assume that maybe someone's in a position where they're probably staring at them both on the waiver wire, doing the catsup catch-up. They're essentially the same. I guess I would go with Richardson.
Do you just pick up David Moore and play him?
It's just hard to recommend to someone who I know is... Last game, they had 7 different players get a target, and not one of them got more than 4 targets. Because as Jake pointed out, they threw the ball 17 times. I just don't think, aside from Tyler Lockett... I mean, could you suggest playing David Moore, though?
Yeah, because he actually had more snaps than Tyler Lockett did last week.
That's the crazy thing. I'm gonna be found in a room, or I'll be put into a mental institution. I'll be in a straitjacket, and in the cartoons when the lightning flashes and you see what I've been writing, it'll just be Tyler Lockett's face everywhere. That man is going to drive me insane.
Will Martavis Bryant see more than 14% of offensive snaps on Thursday night?
Apparently not.
Okay.
I mean, he got immediately replaced by Brandon LaFell, and Seth Roberts is going to be the slot, as we saw. So, I mean, what's the hope there? I will say one. I'm going to pick out the Packers wide receivers because I think a lot of people are going to. I'm just throwing this out there for people not to do this. Don't drop Geronimo Allison yet. Yes, I know he only had 1 target, and you have Cobb the highest. I don't even know if I feel comfortable about that because I went back and looked at this game, and if you look at the snap counts, it was actually 31 for Valdez-Scantling. Allison had 30. Randall Cobb only had 24. So it's more so the fact that Valdez-Scantling is their slot receiver when there's no Cobb. If there's Cobb, but now it looks like we're down to this Godwin and Deshaun Jackson situation where they're the ones that are splitting. Allison's still on the outside. So I'm not ready to drop him yet. Obviously, you don't want to start him, but I think that I wouldn't be surprised if Allison ends up having the second best game this week.
I mean, between Cobb, Valdez-Scantling, and Geronimo Allison, none are trustworthy.
I don't know what you could get for him at this point, but if Randall Cobb has a big game, I would heavily look into trying to get rid of him because even if you just look at the way they traded Clinton Dix, they've got a lot of young talent at the safety position, and it seems like if this season's going to go downhill, if they get into a position where they're not going to make the playoffs definitively, I feel like Mike McCarthy's just going to turn to his young guys. So Randall Cobb might not have much of an impact, week 13, week 14, week 15, depending on how this season actually goes.
Deeper leagues. Justin Hunter played a bunch last week because James
did.
Washington was just inactive for no reason.
I guess they'd kind of just gotten tired of him, which is strange. They're generally pretty good at picking up these late-round wide receivers, but yeah, Hunter's fine.
No, I thought Washington was legitimately hurt.
I
thought he was just an inactive.
I thought he was just a scratch.
Yeah.
No, I thought he was a hurt scratch.
Possibly.
I didn't see any injury designation next to him.
I'm gonna double check. I mean, it might be. I thought I heard that he was hurt. Sorry.
And I thought that was gonna be Switzer, but it turned out Hunter just played more.
Yeah. Well, Switzer, I think, is kind of relegated. If Justin Hunter's going to catch a pass, if Hunter's going to catch a pass, it could be a 45-yard touchdown. If Switzer's going to catch a pass, it's going to be a 2-yard out route.
Sweet.
So, I'm not sure if there's even an argument to be made for a San Francisco 49ers receiver.
Nope.
Especially now that Nick Mullins is probably going to start at quarterback.
Yeah, is Beathard gonna be out?
They haven't definitively
it
said
sounds like
yet, but the report was he couldn't properly grip a football. That
Hey,
seems
Hey,
bad.
Marcus Mariota's playing. He can't grip a football.
That's true.
At least he can run.
Is it just that George Kittle is going to be
That's it.
peppered with targets this week?
Or just he's the only one that you could like sensibly start.
Yeah.
Oh my God, get the hell out of
Should
here.
probably rank Kendrick Bourne somewhere in your top 90, though.
Didn't I?
I don't think you did.
I thought I did. He was in my pickup.
Sorry,
rankings.
I just saw the college football playoff rankings got ticked off.
Oh, that's not good. If you're ticked off, I'm going to be ticked off.
Why?
Notre Dame's 4th. They gave the freaking SEC.
Yeah, they made it.
LSU's number 3.
One of them has to lose this week,
You,
don't
you
worry.
really want to know who I have less sympathy than Boston fans who think that they're constantly underrated?
Notre Dame fans.
Yeah, people who like Notre
No,
Dame.
I have no problem with that. I have a problem with this constant SEC gaga.
Why?
forfeit.
Why? It's by far the best conference.
No,
It's
that's
not-
because they beat up on each other every single
it's-
year, and
it's
people
not
think
a
that
little
means
bit of that.
they're good.
It's not even close. Notre Dame. I mean, I get the text messages every single week. Oh man, I'm really sweating Pitt this week. Oh man, Navy's such a good game. Like,
To be fair,
come
he's
on.
actually
Did you see the
insane.
scores?
Come on.
No, I think not that it really matters at this point because he's 58. I would just say have Kendrick Bourne instead of Dante Pettis. He had 80% of the snaps to
Yeah,
Pettis is 10.
that's a swap.
All right, yeah, I'll make that note. Although it doesn't matter because no one's playing these idiots.
And Antonio Callaway is actually
Showdown!
catching passes now.
What's that?
I
Callaway.
said Antonio
did
Callaway is
catch a
actually
pass.
catching passes.
Yeah, we'll see.
How long will this last?
Have fun with that.
Who knows?
We did that once.
I told
remember?
you, he's Plaxico
did.
Burress.
He
He
did
catches the difficult and drops the easy.
I don't recall Plaxico Burress being really bad. I feel like he caught a lot of passes.
No, it
You're
wasn't.
thi-
He
you're-
was
you're-
really
you're
bad.
thinking of Brandon Lloyd.
No, I'm not, because I'm a Giants fan. I remember him on the Giants. He would make these ridiculous catches, and then the ones, bam, slap in the hands he drops.
Slap of the hands. Quarterbacks.
Why do you think he dropped the gun and shot himself in the leg?
That's a good point.
Guess so.
That's a good point.
I have to update these rankings. I have Beathard still in them. I had Josh Allen in, but Nate
Well,
Peterman
Beathard's
starting.
not 100% out yet.
But I'll probably take him up for who is this guy? Nathan Fillion?
Nick Mullins.
Starting Castle? They're not going to start Macho King Tommy Savage?
No, that was the press release today. It was crazy.
How crazy is that Tom Savage can't even get a start
All right,
with this
so
guy?
let's say
Hasn't
this.
mastered that complicated playbook yet.
Would you rather play Nathan Fillion or Nate Peterman?
Why is that a choice?
I'm just saying. I'm looking at my rankings right now. They're going to be 25th and 26th. Which
it
one
would,
do you
it would
play?
have to be Mullins. He's in a better matchup.
And
Also, he's not Nathan Peterman.
That's a good point.
Nathan Peterman is going to get negative points.
Yes.
Just leave the spot empty.
Contrarian play of the week, Nate Peterman.
Also, you know,
8 touchdowns. It's all going to regress
are you,
to the positive.
Before you put this on film, are you aware who's already said they're going on record as of this second that Nathan Peterman is going to have a good week?
Oh my God! Did Tim say it again?
Tim did say it again.
Well,
That
there
man
you
does
go.
not learn.
There you go.
What
Just
is
leave the
Well,
spot
to-
empty.
what
to
is
backtrack,
what a ship to tie yourself down to?
to backtrack to a prior point, he had to watch Nathan Peterman be so good at Pitt for so many years.
That's
make
true.
So many games close against Notre
Beating
Dame.
up on Notre Dame, almost winning. Oh man, unranked Pitt. Oh, I'm stressing out already.
They have 9 national championships, Pat.
Number 1 in the rankings, Pat Mahomes. I heard he's all right.
What?
Cam. I almost put Cam at 1, but I feel like
Can't do it,
Cam
though.
is going to be owned like 98% on DraftKings. It's the perfect spot for Cam. He's going to have the worst game. Just watch.
That is Cam.
Aaron Rodgers. Oh, there was my friend at the bar actually had this theory on Sunday. Cam Newton.
Is it that when he wears his hat, he's going to throw for
No,
5
no.
touchdowns?
Cam Newton is 100% swag. And that's how you can determine how he's going to play. And it all depends on who the opposing quarterback is. So if Cam thinks that he's playing against he doesn't. If Cam respects the opposing quarterback,
he gets
bad game.
Oh.
But if he's playing some like loser quarterback like Joe Flacco, he's just going to stomp him into the ground.
So what does he think about Fitzpatrick?
I don't know. Fitzmagic reeks of swag.
You know. Is
Well,
this
maybe
the
that's that
swaggiest
kind of
quarterback
swag.
matchup we've
Maybe.
ever had?
I think so.
So maybe that he wants to one-up him then. Maybe that's what it is. He saw the whole Conor McGregor thing. And
I
now
don't
he's-
know. But maybe he's just like, that's too much swag. I can't handle. Bad game.
See, now I'm worried if Cam loses, there's going to be some sort of weird, Vox article written about how Ryan Fitzpatrick, by stealing Cam's swag, is actually culturally appropriating the NFL. And And I'm not ready for that.
Just don't go to Vox.com. It's a really easy way to manage your
I don't know
day.
if I can do that.
Rabbit hole did you just take us down?
I mean, these are things that pop up on my Twitter timeline all the
time.
weird-
All the
I
time.
told you before we came on about the woman who slept with 20 ghosts and now was engaged to a spirit. That was from the New York
Which was
Post.
the same thing.
That's from, is
Just
it?
like left and right Twix.
Are ghosts and spirits the same?
I don't know.
Yes, that's what I was trying to tell you about the Twix commercial is the joke. That's what I was trying to tell you is that he goes, it's like me a custodian and you a janitor. It's the same thing. And then they go, it's me a ghost and you a spirit.
I mean, neither are real. So Twix or ghosts? Maybe Twix are. I don't know. But spirits and ghosts, definitely not real. So trying to think if there's any sort of like monetary way for this to like pay off for itself. Like I was reading a story about a man in Calgary, Alberta, who identified on his license as a woman so he could pay for less in car insurance. Because he was allowed to do it. Why not?
That's a pretty good idea, actually.
Well, if you're dead, you don't have to pay taxes.
There we go.
So that income split works a bit differently. Although you
Right, so you can file dual income, but then you're
no, but you
or
can't because
dead.
dead people can't file taxes. They would need to be.
I know,
living.
that's what I'm saying. But then I was going down that road.
It's tough. It's tough stuff. So Aaron Rodgers at 3, Breeze, Brady, Deshaun Watson. Although he might get his head taken off against Denver. I'm worried about that.
Yeah, you said that last week.
Yeah, I'm worried about it every week.
He seems to survive.
Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, Mitch Trubisky, the Fitzmagic at number 10. Rivers, Wilson, Baker, Stafford, Ryan Smith, Flacco, Roethlisberger, Carr. I had Beathard, but I guess he's going to have to go down. Dak.
I was going to say initially, for as awful as this scenario is, if you were missing Wentz, if you were missing Luck,
Eli.
Dalton, picking one of those two quarterbacks in that awful Thursday night game was probably going to be the solution to your problem.
I mean, I used a lot of Derek Carr last week.
Yeah, I think Carr's in a great spot. I think he's a very viable streaming candidate this game.
Yeah.
And the nice thing,
So is Flacco, by the way.
would have been nice thing, and maybe this works for Mullins too. I don't know, but I would say that if you're going to have a quarterback who's never thrown an NFL pass, this Oakland pass rush is not the worst team to do that against.
Yeah.
They give up the most yards per attempt at 8.6. And
It's two of the worst defenses in the league.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, I think it was Derek Anderson in his first game in a clean pocket, still only managed a quarterback rating of like 40. So Mullins could probably do that too, but if you're going to let a guy who's made it to the NFL just stand there, he might be able to complete a pass.
I mean, he could be a creative player for all we know. What do we really know about Nathan Fillion, or whatever the hell his name is?
Nick
Mullins.
Nick Mullins. It's not even like it's that hard.
It's funny that you've chosen Nathan Peterman. Sounds more like Nathan Fillion.
Well,
than
see,
Nick
the thing is,
Mullins
on my
does.
sheet, I have Nate Mullins written down, so I keep
Fair enough.
looking at it. And I went to high school with a guy named Nick Millen, who no one liked.
Oh,
So I assume he's doing nothing now.
poor guy.
He claimed he was a firefighter at one point, but
So
I think
all
he
those
was fake
things you were
news.
saying, like I'd rather start Derek Carr over Alex Smith.
Alex Smith against Atlanta, really?
Oh, because he's done something against any defense he's faced that's been easy. He has no wide receivers. Jordan Reed somehow is healthy this entire season and still doing nothing.
Well, it turns out when he doesn't actually catch the football, no one hits him, and he stays healthy.
There you go.
They've really found a loophole in the system.
This offense, outside of the rushing attack, like the Redskins have been miserable. I don't know. Why do you want to start Alex Smith? Seriously, who is he throwing to? Paul Richardson hasn't done anything in his multiple times of opportunities.
Rich is his name.
Okay, the Jamison Crowder show still hasn't come back, and even if he does, what has he done? Josh Doxson is not. This entire receiving core has done nothing.
But then you're into the spot where, do you want to play Big Ben against Baltimore? At Baltimore? That sounds like it.
Not really, no.
No, but what I said is you were just talking. You guys were
Yeah,
both agreeing.
I could have
talking
Carr
up
ahead
Derek
of-
Carr.
I mean, I saw Derek Carr behind these guys. Like, I
No.
don't want to play Derek
No,
Carr.
but I would
I'm
probably
saying
rather
start
Derek Carr
flip
over
Derek
Alex
Carr
Smith.
and Alex Smith.
I'd rather start Alex Smith. He's better. Derek Carr sucks, so there's that.
He's just in touch with his emotions.
But rushing touchdown.
Maybe, yeah, he was able to jump the pile. That's true.
There you go.
Although I think I would bank on an Alex Smith rushing touchdown before another Derek Carr rushing touchdown.
Probably fair.
Tight ends. This is where it gets bad.
Cesspool.
We lose Uzuma. We lose both Colts tight ends. Evan
Uzuma
Ingram,
didn't do anything
Zach
either.
Ertz, O'Shaughnessy, Greenidge, and Ricky Seals-Jones. That leaves it.
Shaughnessy wasn't out there. We have Uzuma who did nothing, even though he's out there for
Jake,
98% of the snaps.
Jake, it's a joke. It's a joke. Just you don't. There doesn't need to be extra commentary on that one. Number 1 in the rankings, Travis Kelce. Number 2, George Kittle, even with Nick
You got this.
Fillins?
Mullins.
Mullins?
So close, though.
Jared Cook is where Fantasy Pros has ranked him at number 3. I'm dubious about that, I'll tell you that much. Njoku, Olsen, Howard, Jimmy Graham, Gronk, Trey Burton, Kyle Rudolph. Guess who I have at number 11? Chris Herndon the 4th.
Might as well. Dolphins have allowed...
4th of his name, Garion.
They've allowed 4 touchdowns to 2 tight ends who I had never heard of entering that week in the last 2 weeks. So it may actually hurt that we've all now heard of Chris Herndon. Maybe that takes this spell away.
Well, Nate Sterling isn't going to play. That's great news for Cuss
How do you
Buddy.
keep naming people Nate? His name is Neil Sterling.
Neil Sterling. Yeah, that's a stupid way to spell Neil. With an A, not an I.
I guess.
No, that's actually pretty common.
It's like a Lorenzo.
What?
I would say it's
Common
last name.
Common where? When people sleep with their cousins? Come on.
For non-Canadians.
Non-Canadians?
Oh, here he goes with the vowel stuff again.
Yeah, you're really...
Yeah, because you
you're
still
really
spell Edmonds wrong.
Still... Yeah, I really don't care about that. Until someone actually has fantasy relevance, their name does not need to be spelled correctly.
Again, he literally has Tyler Higbee in here as Eleanor Higbee.
That's true.
So, semantics.
Is that
at this
not
point.
his name?
It might as well be.
Yeah. Neil with an A. Give me a break. You're better off spelling your name like Neill than with an A.
Wait, hold on a second. When are we going to stop giving Gronk old-time respect because he looked like molasses in that game?
How much lower can you put the guy?
Yeah, I mean, I have him number 8. Felt like that was pretty low.
Behind Trey Burton, for one. Maybe behind Kyle Rudolph in a glorious matchup. I'm just saying, all I was just talking about is bringing up Gronkowski in general. Is like, when do we stop giving him name respect? Because he's been miserable this year.
That's fair, but it's almost like the Sammy Watkins debate, where if you own Rob Gronkowski, you're not picking up a tight end off the waiver wire, especially in a week like this. Like, you're playing Gronk, so it doesn't really matter where he's ranked. It's just you're playing him. That's how this works.
Yeah, but if you said Gronkowski or Kittle for the rest of the season, you're taking Kittle.
I agree.
Oh, that's fair, but Kittle's ahead of him in these rankings. Like, I'm just saying that if you're in a position where you own Gronk, especially with these next 3 weeks with just the amount of buys, there's no one to pick up. It's tight end.
All right, Gronk or OJ Howard the rest of the season?
OJ Howard.
Yeah, Howard.
Yeah.
Okay, but this is not the debate I'm having.
No. I know that. I'm trying to have the debate I was having for the people listening to help them to learn, like, hey, guess what? You can still get name value on Gronkowski. He doesn't deserve to be there anymore. So if you can get an OJ Howard, and maybe you have an OJ Howard or a Trey Burton, you can make that kind of deal and you still get respect for some reason in trades from people.
I don't know how much, like, Trey Burton's fine. I don't think he's a locked out score Gronk. I mean, I would rather have OJ Howard than Trey Burton.
Again, my point being is people are still giving him the name value. I see tons of trade offers, and Gronk is in a lot of them. And I'm just saying, you can get rid of him for a top 10 tight end if you happen to be one of those people who picked him up because he missed time or because he got hurt. And no, I don't feel amazing about riding Kyle Rudolph for the rest of the season. I'm just saying, if you can still get the name value for Gronkowski, I'm just trying to help the listeners. Whatever.
Isn't Gronk is still, though, a top 10 tight end in PPR formats, is he not?
Is he?
Even with the week missed? I would assume he is. I don't know how he wouldn't be.
I'll double check. I don't know that he is.
Does he have more or less points than Chris Herndon the 4th?
Probably less, but definitely not in the last 4 weeks.
That would be my stream of the week, by the way, is Herndon.
Sure.
Like, if you
Chris
need someone to go
Herndon
pick
the
up, Ben Watson, maybe. Just lots of throwing.
Carolina's been so bad against tight ends that maybe you could try Bray.
Gronkowski is...
I wouldn't play Bray with...
That's the thing.
He's 8th, and he's holding on to that margin by 3 points.
But I think that just speaks to tight end again, which is just like Gronkowski's been awful this season. He has 2 red zone targets. He's missed a game, and he's still tight end 8. Like, I don't know.
I agree. Again, I'm talking about name value and trade.
Sure, but I just mean when you start, like, if you can get OJ Howard, sure.
Yeah, but you're not trading Gronk for OJ Howard.
But that's the thing. I don't think anyone's making that deal.
No. You trade Gronk for someone better than OJ Howard because he has that name value, like Jake's saying.
Sure,
but. Yeah,
I just don't think I
have him 8 in the rankings.
Maybe I'm overestimating the intelligence of people who play fantasy football. I don't think anyone's trading George Kittle for Rob Gronkowski right now.
No, that was
they would. Oh yeah, yes they would.
You really think so?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, make that trade then. That sounds amazing.
What if you played in a Southie league? You got Gronk.
Would you take Njoku or Gronk the rest of the way?
Njoku. And this is actually a great week to buy Njoku.
Yeah.
Who's actually 11th right now behind him.
This would be the perfect spot. Coming off 0 targets. Hook me up. Hook that into my veins.
There you go.
It's just like Uzuma. Uzuma's top 10 tight end the rest of the year.
Oh, until Tyler, what's his face?
Croft?
I was about to say Boyd.
Croft?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Comes back.
Is Croft coming back? He had foot surgery.
No, he's supposed to be back by like what, week 12, 13?
Let's see.
Yeah.
I mean, is Olsen better than Gronk the rest of the year? Because Olsen looks healthy. I was stunned.
I was stunned
Yeah,
too, honestly.
think
I
so.
thought he was a touchdown prayer at this point.
I would take Olsen over Gronk rest of the season.
Ed Dixon, I have at 16. Big Dick scoring touchdowns last week.
I know him
Only
higher.
played 20 snaps, but I think he is someone who's going to have that number grow as time continues. But again, there's only so many freaking targets to go around on Seattle.
No, hold on. You want to talk about snaps? Let's talk about your number 15. Ben Watson had half the snaps of Josh Hill. You have to play Ed Dixon.
The week before, Ben Watson played all the snaps and had a good game. Like, it's just, you're not going to know going into the game.
That's my point. What you do know is Ed Dixon is the next tight. Like,
No,
Seattle Seahawks tight end is a thing.
I mean,
it's a real
in
thing.
fairness, Nick Vannett played more snaps than Ed Dixon.
Why is it a thing though? Again, you've on this show have already said that you'd start Tyler Lockett, you'd play David Moore. Now you're saying Seattle tight end is a thing. They're going to throw the ball 20 times. You can't.
It doesn't matter.
Look,
They're ridiculously efficient with it.
But no, that was the same reason we said that you can't really like Austin Eckler. Like, this isn't a two-way street. They're too efficient for their own good. It can't keep happening.
Both of those guys, Ben Watson and Ed Dixon, played the second most tight end snaps on their own team. I just think that they're better than the guy who played more snaps last week. I'd rather play them.
I agree with that sentiment. I'm just saying I don't think Seattle tight end is a thing. It's most
It is a
assuredly
thing. Well,
not a
Disley
thing.
was a thing. What do they have to do something every game? Oh, they just have.
Not really. Will Disley had one good game. Ed Dixon just caught 2 targets for 54 yards and a touchdown.
It was the next guy. It's always
When did
the next
Vannett
guy.
do anything? When has Nick Vannett been a top 10 tight end this
Go look
season?
at the game log. More often than
I
not,
write up this
it always
position
goes-
every week for DraftKings. They do shit all, Jake. This is not a thing.
Okay, fine. They never do anything. You're right.
2 weeks. 2 weeks of 8 weeks.
Don't be pissed off because you hate Tyler Lockett.
They throw the ball 20 times a game. You can't like every fucking player on their team.
We want to beat that into the wall like you did before?
That's not an expression. It's the ground.
Oh, it has to be expression now. You're winning this very well.
I am. You've slipped
You
up
want to
grammatically
talk
twice.
about like what, my height or my age or my eyes, or do you want to come at that next? What are we going back to 8th grade?
I mean, you're the one who's not arguing the point, so
I just like Ben Watson more than Ed Dixon. Is all I'm going to say about this. That's who I would rather play in this situation.
It's a 15th tight end.
If you need to pick up a tight end and play one, I would pick up Watson before Dixon. After that, I'd pick up Ed Dixon if Ben Watson was out.
You could probably just pick up Herndon.
I'd much rather pick up Herndon.
Sure.
I already have Herndon in these situations.
There you go.
Anyway, defenses. Before we get out of here, it's the first time on the show. It's not me who gets mad. It's fantastic. Defenses. Number 1, Chicago against Nate Peterman. Do we even need the rest of the defenses?
No.
I guess not.
Dallas is number 2 against Tennessee. Kansas City, number 4. Although their defense is bad, this is a great situation for them. Denver, Houston, same game. Just playing going back and forth at each other. Carolina, Detroit, Washington, Baltimore, the Vikings against Detroit. I like Detroit's defense this week. I think it's going to be my DraftKings D. Best pass rush in the league against an offensive line that cannot block. And we saw Kirk Cousins throw a 2-yard pass to the other team on Sunday night.
Diggs fell, didn't he? Or he stopped running that route?
Someone stopped running the route.
I think it was a mix of both.
Okay.
Either way, the guy was saying from me to you, and he threw it to him.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's a perfectly viable play. Again, I think Kansas City's sneaky. Like, if people just look at the number. And
I think people are savvy to Kansas City at this
well,
point.
probably just more savvy to Cleveland being.
Yeah, but Kansas City's D,
offense.
fantasy-wise, has been quite good.
Oh, sure.
I think they scored touchdowns 2 of 4 weeks because teams have to throw against them.
And that's the thing. I mean, we talk about how unstable it is to predict touchdowns defensively on a week-to-week basis, but if there is a spot, it's a team forcing passes late in a game. And if you have a rookie quarterback who, like Jake said, it's the same playbook, but I don't know who's calling plays. I have no idea what's going on with that team. So
would they be better off if they let Baker Mayfield call the plays, Jake?
No.
Or just call no plays and just snap the ball?
Oh, Sandlot stuff.
Yeah, just run around.
No, it's Kitchens, by the way. That's who's calling the plays.
Right.
That's not the gut guy?
No.
It's the former running backs coach?
I'm so tired of that gif. It was funny at first, but
What's his name? Willie?
something like that.
I can't remember.
You're a little high on the Redskins. You really think that being at home is going to slow them down that much?
The Redskins, he has just been a good defense.
It has been, but I mean, how much are they going to limit the Falcons? I mean, I understand, but I don't know. They didn't do anything to stop Odell Beckham last week, and Barkley chewed him up in the passing game.
Sure, and they were still the second highest scoring defense of the week.
And my point was that was the Giants.
Okay, I mean, there's 6 teams on bye. They're playing Atlanta. They're getting Atlanta outdoors.
Yeah, but I think if you're looking at defenses at home in great matchups, wouldn't you just rather play Baltimore instead of Washington?
I don't know. I'm put it this way. I'm always more concerned. I know Atlanta's a pretty good offense, but I think they are significantly worse outdoors than they are indoors. But Pittsburgh is such a crapshoot that you do have to factor in they might put up 48 points in this game. And Baltimore's defense has not been all that good recently.
Sure. I would just say we got 3 years of Ben on the road. It seems like it's pretty set in stone at this point.
But this could just be a run fest between these two teams.
Maybe. But I would also say that the Steelers are probably more prone to turning the ball over than the Falcons are at this point.
Maybe. But, I mean, you get better on defense with Washington. The pass rush was good anyway. The defense was good anyway. Atlanta's going to pass. They're not going to run all that much.
It's true.
That you're going to get chances to go tee off on them. I don't care if they give up 20
Yeah, but
points.
to Garion's point, what are we talking about turnovers for the Falcons on the season?
Can't be that many.
I mean, the Giants sacked them like 4 times. The Giants have no pass rush.
Those numbers are a little skewed with Vernon being out for the first 4 games. They've been better recently.
Still, if the Giants can get to Matt Ryan, why can't the Skins get to Matt Ryan?
Sure, that's fair. Look, they're both, like you said, I don't think I would take necessarily either out of your top 12, 13.
Well, who would you play over them from behind? If you play Baltimore over Washington, that's fine. Would you play Minnesota against Detroit over them?
That's true.
Would you play Miami against the Jets?
I'd probably rather play the Jets than the Dolphins, honestly.
Yeah,
Miami
I would
at home.
That doesn't really mean anything. They haven't had a home field advantage like 5 years.
Yeah, but Sam Darnold he's auto pick every game. You hope it goes for 6.
Yeah, that's true too.
Good God, that was not easy to find. Yeah, Atlanta leads the league with only 4 giveaways
Okay.
the entire season.
That surprises me, actually.
Pittsburgh has 12 giveaways, 10th in the league.
In terms of scoring defenses, like fantasy points for defenses, who has more, Baltimore or Washington? I'm curious. I know Baltimore's
We'll
been
pull
good.
that up next. Let me jump to that, and I'll tell you.
Baltimore got minus last week.
They did.
One of 2 defenses to score in the minus.
Yeah, it was not pretty.
Let's see. Baltimore or Washington, you said?
Baltimore and Washington, yeah, just total fantasy points.
Well, Washington is 12th with 53, and Washington... no, that is Washington. And Baltimore is 22nd and 41. So
They
they've
both
got
haven't been good.
12.
That's fair.
Yeah, they got 12 more points. It's not a huge gap. It's just more the fact that 12.
See, I would almost think like baseline consistency week to week, because I know Baltimore scored like 25.
Oh, well, to your point, Washington's had their bye.
See, that would work too.
That's-
But week 1 and the week against Tennessee, Baltimore, it seems like Baltimore's defense can really dominate really crappy teams, like really crappy offenses, and Pittsburgh's not a crappy offense.
That's fair. That's fun. Sure.
Anyway, I'm just not really digging the Ravens D this week. Maybe because
No, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Ravens too, it's like 10, 7, 5, 0, 3, 0, 10, 11. Like it's either up or down.
And Washington, I'm going to guess, is relatively consistent. At least that's in my head canon, that's how it works.
it's in your head. That's how it works out. They are, 6, 5, 6, 4, 7, 14, 11.
If I can get 7 points out of a defense this week, I feel like that's going to be top. Like, there's going to be 3 defenses that no one's using that score well.
Sure.
Like the Raiders defense or something.
It's just a good thing he's not playing Nick Vanette.
The unstoppable force that is Nick Vanette.
Oh, I thought you meant Nick Mullins. That's his name, right?
You got it. Just in time.
Are either of those defenses viable Thursday night?
Like you said, one of them is going to end up being viable.
Raiders.
I guess, I would lean Raiders, but they can't sack anybody. That's
what
kind of
about
our baseline.
I mean, I would lean 49ers over Raiders in terms of defense. I'd rather just take the favored home team.
I don't think you can play either one of these. Will one of them
Of
probably
course, you can
turn
play
out?
Washington.
Yeah, sure. Of course, I would much rather play Washington. But no, to your point though, I just think one of these defenses turns out to be like top 5 this week because both
I'd
these
rather
offenses
play the
are so
Chargers.
inconsistent. But you're not playing either one of them.
Chargers is tough because all Seattle does is run, and there's no Bosa.
Well, never mind.
He was just picking a team way down there.
Ah.
He would- yeah.
I didn't.
I was picking a team against the unstoppable efficiency
right.
that is the Seattle.
Yes, that is true. They are incredibly efficient.
What happens if the Chargers jump out to a lead and Seattle has to throw? What happens then? Are they horribly inefficient?
I mean, Russell Wilson's probably still pretty good.
Maybe. Like I said, for streaming defenses, Kansas City, Detroit, Washington.
Yeah.
I think that's the path that I would go down. Unless like Denver's available. Because
Probably
a lot of
not,
people dropped them
but-
because they played Kansas City last week.
No,
That's-
yeah, I was
that's
gonna
fair.
say they were. I checked Yahoo this week when I was looking at streaming defenses. They're under 60% owned.
All right, so yeah, Denver. Denver's a good one to go
Not
pick up.
available in my league.
Yeah, Jake, not available in my league. What kind of league you play in? That'll do it on the Fat Mayo Experience Week 9
There you go.
rankings. So I want to let everyone out there know, please give the episode a like, because let's be real here, it's fantastic. Maybe not, maybe so. We'll see. But leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section. Let me know whether you think Demaryius Thomas or Kiki Cutie will score more PPR points from Week 9 to Week 16, and boom, you're in a draw for $20 DK. And even if you watch the show on YouTube, please go download the podcast. Subscribe to the podcast. Put it on auto download. Download all the episodes. You don't need to listen. You just delete them right away. Just remember to download them because we're on the quest to get to 10 million listens / downloads for the rest of the season. Garion Thorne, where can everyone find your work?
Strange. DK Playbook. Write the
DK
shout
Live
out
app?
pieces, DK Live app.
Where I hear you write up tight
well.
ends.
I do write up tight ends. Believe me,
Every single week.
there is not a job more sad than writing up the Cardinals, 49ers, and Seattle
Kickers.
offense every single week.
No kickers
No
on
kickers on
DraftKings.
DK. Thank God. Thank God. But yeah,
It's like Jake owns DraftKings.
there you go.
He made sure there was no kickers. Instead, he's writing at The Athletic. I don't think you'd write at The Athletic if you own DraftKings. That's just my hot take.
Probably not.
I like that it's probably not.
I mean, he
Like,
enjoys it.
that's true. You do enjoy doing it.
You know, that's to say, if I won $1 million, I wouldn't do as much as I do now, but I'd probably still do a little bit. I'd still do your show.
Oh, well, I really appreciate that. Also,
I'd probably tell them where to find my stuff.
$1 million, not.
Not gonna cut it for the rest of your life.
Yeah, not going to cut it. Not going to cut it for the rest of your life.
5 million?
$5
That
million,
might
yeah.
do it, yeah.
$5 million, yeah. I mean, I would still,
Oh,
I would still do this show.
You still gotta make some
I'm
money,
starting
I
to
think.
scoff
Yeah.
at $1 million.
I
Oh no, I'd love to have it, but you'd still probably have to work.
Yeah, you couldn't just retire.
You put it a 10% investment that you get, which is pretty reasonable and easy to find, is $100,000 a year. If you can't live off $100,000 a year, you got some issues.
I'm trying to think of that guy's name from Hard Knocks, and I can't do it right
I
now.
don't think you know my lifestyle, Jake.
Oh wait. So after this show, like last, are you gonna start? What are you gonna teach me about like drugs this week?
My $1,500 a day addiction.
Yeah,
Fabergé
I
eggs.
know. I know that I look like I'm doing pretty well, but like I smoke crack 24/7. It catches up to you, and you make bad decisions. It's like gambling when you're drunk. Smoking crack? Whoa! Bad decision making ensues.
How many
Unfortunately-
people at that Halloween party that you were Instagramming? How many people were on drugs at that thing?
At a Twin Peaks Halloween party? The number-
95%.
I mean, I wasn't, so because I had to work the next morning.
Yeah.
That's why I was giving you like a 5%.
That is a spoiler alert for the show.
Apologies.
Well done.
If-
Congratulations.
Thank you. If people stayed this long, I guess they can know. Please don't tweet that out. Blowing my cover over here.
Sorry about that.
People wonder why I've been stressed out lately. No smoking in
When he
this.
said that, I was looking at your face because I was like, oh, is he kidding?
I couldn't remember or not.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll move past that. And a lot of people on drugs.
Yeah.
Or just incredibly, and like weed's legal in Canada now, so everyone just,
It's a great time.
as we're still in the grace period where everyone's just like, oh, I can buy weed, so just walking down the street smoking
We're
joints.
still in the period where the government has some.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean,
enjoy it
hold on,
now.
so if it's legal, is that technically? I mean, that's not technically on drugs now, is it?
It's still drugs.
Yeah, it's like alcohol is a drug, technically.
Huh?
It's about semantics, really.
You just wait till heroin's legal. Then everyone's gonna be real into jazz. That's what you can do with your $1 million. You want,
Invest in
if you
jazz?
want to better, that you have to anticipate that heroin will become legal. It's legal in Portugal if you want to go.
Heroin is legal in Portugal?
Every drug is legal in Portugal.
Wow.
Yeah. It actually kind of works out.
I was
well.
gonna yeah,
It works out really well.
I've heard the logic behind the
It's
argument,
not
Wait,
a
wait.
what.
I thought the millennials weren't doing that. I thought they were doing like Moxie or something.
What is Moxie?
Molly?
Yeah,
Maybe
you
that's
can
what
buy
it is.
Molly
Maybe that
and
cross too.
Molly and Oxy? Maybe they're doing Oxy. I don't know.
Yeah.
You need some
That
good
might
doctor
be a good
hookup for
mix.
that.
I just invented something.
Well, I feel like that
Congratulations,
would just
everybody.
even out.
I'm
would it
just
not?
telling you, if you think that they're going to eventually legalize all drugs, take your $1 million, invest in jazz. And then boom, everyone's on heroin, everyone loves jazz again, boom, problem solved. You rich. Then you don't need to work.
I think that works.
There we go. I'm Pat Mayo. You can follow me on Twitter at the PME. Same as Instagram, same as Facebook. Find the rankings updated in the description. I got DraftKings show Wednesday with Drew Dinkmeyer, the Spread show with Jeff and Tim coming out on Wednesday evening. The DraftKings ownership show and the injury report both on Friday. Got some MMA with Shag and Cody Saftik. The golf show is already out, and I am live Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time on the DraftKings YouTube channel with Garion and Tim Endacust, taking your questions after we do game-by-game updates and injuries and rankings. Sound good? All right, I'm out of here. Good luck this week. I'll see you next time.
That Mayo experience! Experience!